Do you want to start, David?
Sure. Yeah, my name is David Zelasco. I'm a solar consultant with Third Sun in Northeast Ohio area, and been working with Third Sun for about 5 years now, and started in the solar industry to work on environmental issues, and I figured solar would be a great way to do that in Ohio.
Great, thanks, David. Cesar.
Hello, my name is Cesar Flores. Been with Third Sun going on a year. I mainly service the Cincinnati area, and I just love helping people take control of their electric bill.
Awesome. Thanks, Cesar. Jamie?
My name is Jamie Jones, and I'm a solar consultant for Third Sun Solar, and I work out of our main headquarters here. And I've been with Third Sun for 12 years, and I'm a big fan of renewable energy, and so I like to champion that.
Awesome. Thank you all, and thanks again for taking time out of your days to answer some of these questions that I have. And just to set the stage a little bit, these are some questions that we get from a lot of folks when they first are interested in solar energy. And if you're watching us on Facebook, feel free to submit questions in the comment box. We'll be monitoring those, as well as those joining us in Zoom. Go ahead and submit questions as well. But we'll go ahead and we're going to get started with a question for David. There are a lot of misconceptions about solar and solar energy, and we'll get into a lot of that, but starting off with the kind of big overarching questions, why are there so many misconceptions about solar energy?
There's so many misconceptions because to a lot of people, solar is pretty new technology. It developed in the 50s, became more commercial in the 70s, but what we offer now, 50 years later, is very different. And people think maybe off-grid, solar is strictly for off-grid, but there's a lot of options in grid-tied systems and ways that people can go solar that makes it easier for them. So comparing it to computers, computers were very, very large, maybe not had a lot of capabilities and expensive, but now we all have, computers this size in our pockets. So the technology has improved, and that's why you're hearing more and more people going solar in their homes in Ohio. And so I think that it ties to some of the misconceptions going on.
Awesome. Thanks, David. My next question is for Cesar. One of the solar myths that we hear a lot is that solar panels will damage a roof. Is this true?
No, on the contrary, it actually helps protect the roof on the parts that you're actually installing the solar panels. Basically it protects them from the hail, from the wind, from any debris that are going to cause the roof. So now that area that is covered with the solar panels is protected with the panels. And basically the panel is rated at a higher capacity of wind or hail than any shingle out there. So it helps protect the roof.
Awesome. Thanks, Cesar. The next kind of misconception we'll hear sometimes, people have heard that it's best if your home faces south, for us to install on the south side of your roof. This question is for Jamie. Does your home have to face south for you to get a solar energy system? Oh, Jamie, you're on mute. Let me see. Okay.
I got
there
it.
There you go. Okay. Good.
It's not necessary for your roof to face 180 degrees south, though it is ideal for maximum solar performance. Oftentimes we're retrofitting systems to existing structures where south may not be available. So we can consider eastern and western roof elevations. which will also perform just fine to as far as, you know, solar energy production, with probably about 1% in production losses if unshaded, with the east performing slightly better than west due to cooler temperatures. So we can install on eastern and western elevations if south isn't available.
Awesome. Thank you, Jamie. Next question. Solar panels don't work well in cold climates. David.
Yeah, so that's a good question, and one that we hear very often, especially in Northeast Ohio and the Cleveland area. But cold climates don't really always attribute to amount of sunlight. The northeastern part of the United States has a ton of solar in Massachusetts and Maine, Vermont area, and so they do still perform. And a general rule of thumb for electricity, when the temperature decreases, the voltage actually increases. So a lot of our systems perform very well when it's like 50, 60 degrees, full sun, compared to 80 or 90 degrees. So they do well here in our climates. So it's a very common question we get, and one that makes sense for some people.
Awesome. Thanks, David. Caesar, a question for you. Some people think that solar panels are eyesores. What would you say if someone approached you with that?
Oh, wow. I guess when I went solar, that was the main concern with my wife. They look ugly, this and that. I was like, well, no, it's going to be the norm. Now, I mean, as you can see, more and more you drive around, you see more panels. So when we went solar and she started seeing them in the house and she started driving around, she saw houses without solar. Like, hey, that house is missing something. And it was basically with the panels. But after 2 weeks, she forgot about the panels that were even there. So it just becomes normal. I mean, nothing happens. I mean, you're not gonna create anything. But where she really thought about it again is when she got the electric bill. It said 0. That's, oh, I love my panels. So no, they're not an eyesore. It's just getting used to them.
Mm-hmm.
Beauty's in the eye of the beholder.
Mm-hmm.
Great. So this next question, so this is something we hear sometimes. Folks think that when you go solar, you'll get a check from your utility company. Is that true, Jamie?
That is not true. With solar, you won't receive a check from your utility company, but most utility companies offer net metering, which is a billing credit system that credits you for the additional electricity that your solar power system generates and delivers back to the grid. And these credits can roll forward to be applied to your following month's bill to help lower your overall electric expenses.
Great. This question is for David. Solar panels aren't allowed where I live. Some people think that solar panels aren't allowed where they live, and some people are right. Isn't that true?
Yeah, some people are right, and what we've seen, mostly some HOAs, they vary in their approaches to solar. And so some HOAs will have actual deed restrictions saying no solar panels, but we always encourage re-inquiring, asking why or what they have in mind in terms of solar, because as we're talking today, there's a lot of misconceptions. And some of those HOAs were formed when solar thermal was very popular. And that is more clunky technology. It doesn't conform as well to the roof. And so HOAs or certain cities have their own restrictions. And to what Caesar was talking about on the look, most time of their concern is either aesthetics and property values. And fortunately, the panels that we use are all black, so they are very sleek looking. A lot of HOAs will approve only those black panels. And then also property values, there's a lot of studies that show that anytime you can lower the utility costs for the next homeowner, especially with solar, you can increase that property value. So we like to approach it by talking to your HOA, kind of understanding why they don't want solar, and then kind of re-educating them and showing them that people in their neighborhood actually do. So yeah, it's something that we commonly ask our customers.
Great. And just a reminder to our audience, you can feel free to submit questions using the Q&A chat feature or just the chat feature if you're on Zoom. And if you're on Facebook, feel free to submit questions there for our panel. So the next question I have is for Caesar. Solar panels require too much maintenance. Is that true?
Not really. The panels that we usually install are stationary. They're not moving. They're not tracking panels. So it's just the wear and tear by the years of it, but not really. The maintenance, I mean, you can say the rain will rinse off some of the dust that accumulates. But basically it's maintenance free. You don't need to worry about the panels once they're installed because we don't have no moving parts.
Great. So this next question is for Jamie. Oftentimes a barrier to folks even thinking about solar in the first place are that solar panels are too expensive. Is this true? What do you think?
Well, there is a cost for going solar, but if you think about that relative to what you'll continue to pay your utility company for your power over the next 25 years and factoring in 4% inflation each year, you can see that you'll be paying a lot, that will add up just for paying for your electric power from the grid. Installing a solar panel system basically allows you to lock in your utility rate, so to speak, at the purchase of the panel price of the system. And once your system's paid off, that energy basically is free to you for the life of the system. So I always like to think of it that way.
Great. So David, something we'll hear sometimes is that manufacturing solar panels can cause more pollution than the clean energy that they produce. And I think we're glad people are thinking about this. It's a really critical question. What do you think about this?
Yeah, this is a good question because, it is a piece of equipment. There's energy needed to produce that, and there's going to be some carbon emissions associated with that. But just like anything, it depends on who's making it and the quality of that manufacturing process. So mostly you'll hear it could be anywhere from 1 to 3 years of your solar producing on your house that will offset the emissions that it took to make that system and make all the components. And again, it depends on who you use. And so when we look at manufacturers, we look at good quality manufacturing processes. A company we use is called REC, and they're fully vertically integrated. And if you look at their facility, every inch of that rooftop is covered with solar panels, with their own solar panels. And so that is lowering that carbon emission, lowering that environmental impact of the production of the panels. So it's a good question, and I always appreciate hearing that because that means they're thinking more on the environmental side and want to make sure that they're investing in something that's going to have a net positive on the environment.
Yeah, that's cool that they have solar panels on their roof. We have solar panels on our roof too, when we're all in the office together. Not now. Not all of us. Caesar does. Caesar has them on his roof. Third son has them on our office roof. Yeah. All right. Next question. So Caesar, is getting a quote for solar power, is it complicated? Is it a complicated process?
I guess the complicated part is just asking. People are nervous about asking, everything about it, but no, it's a simple process. Once you ask, we're just gonna ask for simple information or, you know, basic information, name, phone number, email, address. And I guess the hardest part that people get is the kilowatts that they usually use. And it's usually on their electric bill, or they can call their electric company and they can ask for their annual consumption. And it's that simple. You get that and we can compare with a free quote. There's no, you know, obligation on buying solar for getting an estimate and comparing to what you're actually throwing away on renting electricity. So it's a simple process. It's just I guess people get nervous on asking that question, but no, it's not complicated. It's a simple process.
Great, thanks, Cesar. So the last question that I have, and I see we've gotten a few questions from our audience, so feel free to keep sending those in. But the last question that I have for Jamie, once you go solar, will you still need to be grid tied?
That's a good question, because I know there are a lot of individuals that think that they may pull away from the grid, which we don't recommend. Our primary core installation is what we call grid interactive systems, which are supplemental power systems to lessen the overall percentage of power that you use from the utility grid, or that you would normally consume from the utility grid, which means that during the day, your solar panels will be producing the energy needed to power your loads. And whatever demand that the solar is unable to meet at that time, the grid automatically comes in and supports the rest. So that's what we mean by grid interactive. And then at night, you will be pulling from the grid to power your nighttime loads when the sun isn't out. And then, you know,
Yeah,
rises, and then you're back up and running on your solar again.
right, unless you have batteries, right?
Unless you have batteries, that's correct.
And that's another subject.
Yeah, that's another subject. Batteries are a way to store that power so you can use it in the event of a power outage. And you can retrofit those to grid interactive systems, but they're not necessary as they are in off-grid systems. You need a battery bank.
Yeah. And if anyone's more interested in learning about batteries or in off-grid and kind of the nuances of off-grid versus grid tied and some of the benefits of having battery backup, of which there are many, you can head over to our YouTube channel, and we've got a good series. David's featured in that series. Our president and co-founder, Jeff Greenfield, is featured in that series. And they kind of do deep dives there on batteries. So just look up Third Sun Solar on YouTube and you'll be able to find those there. So we do have a few questions from the audience. So I'm going to go ahead and just ask these into our panelists. Whoever wants to can take them. The first question that we had come in, how long do solar panels last? Do most users have to replace them at least once?
I'll take this one, I guess. So when I was training in Colorado, we were using panels that were 30 to 50-year-old panels, and they were still in production. They were still producing about 80% efficiency. So that's the old technology that was still working good. Now with better technology and stuff, they're about to last longer than the 40, 60 years that they're at. And now with the warranties and the production, some panels have, it's a little bit over 25 years. Easy, without any problem.
Mm-hmm. I always like to kind of use the example of my uncle. He lives in Arizona, and he was an early adopter of solar. He's got an off-grid system. I don't remember the exact panels that he has. But I know that his panels are still operational. He hasn't replaced his solar panels. He installed the system probably in 89, 90. And the only thing that he's replaced is the inverter once. And then, of course, he's replaced his lead acid batteries. So, but yeah, so his solar panels are still generating for him.
You said he
installed in like 1990.
1990.
And panel technology has gotten a lot better since then as well. So We've got a 25-year linear power warranty on the REC panels, which basically guarantees that that panel will be outputting at its nameplate capacity, 86% of its nameplate capacity at year 25. So that's like a 0.5% of degradation over time.
Great. Another question, how long does the process take from initial quote to final install, ballpark?
Sorry, I disappeared there for a second.
You did. I'd wondered if you'd come back.
Yeah, what was the question?
How long does the process take from initial quote to final install, if we could give a ballpark range?
Yeah, so initial quote, once you have an initial consultation with either one of us here and have your electric bill, we can get you a quote pretty quickly. From there, right now we're anywhere between 90 and 100 days out from when people commit. And there's a few reasons for that. First of all, given everything that's going on with COVID-19, when the stay-at-home order came about, we actually took it upon ourselves to pause installations for about 6 weeks. So that pushed us back a little bit, but we always kind of have like that long, or we have a couple months between install just because of demand for our systems. We do everything in-house, so we have our own trained crews, licensed electricians, and being around for 20 years, we have a good reputation and being in demand. So right now, most people are looking at around a July or August install that are signing up with me today.
And if you got installed in July or August, you'd still have a lot of time to soak up the summer sun. The fall sun is still bright, isn't it?
Absolutely. And you can still get the tax credit that's available. So right now there's a 26% federal tax credit. So as long as you get installed before the end of this year, you can take advantage of that.
Yeah, great. Next question that came in, what are the types of warranties that homeowners normally ask for? So I think we can talk about our warranties and the warranties of some of our manufacturers.
Yeah, so I know that I cover, the manufacturer's warranties for the solar panels, which we just previously discussed, which is the 25-year linear power warranty. REC also has a 25-year warranty on the actual physical panel. And then the inverter system, the SolarEdge inverter system, also has its warranty that will, be forwarded over to the solar customer, which is a 12-year warranty on the inverter and optimizer system. There is a way to extend that warranty out. The customer can negotiate that with the manufacturer directly to extend the warranty out to 30 years at an additional cost. And our workmanship warranty is currently a 17-year workmanship warranty, which, we can stand behind because we have 20 years of longevity in the business. So.
Yep, celebrating our 20th year this year. So a question from Facebook, we have someone asking, they're wondering if we could do an upgrade to an existing ground array that was installed by a different company. Is that something that we could do?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's something we do every once in a while. So yeah, we'd be happy to do that. And solar is nice because it can be very modular. And so with current technology, it makes it easier to expand upon. And if you have a ground mount, you may not be limited by space. So yeah, we'd be happy to take a look at your existing system, talk with you what your energy usage is now with that system and what your goals are, and see what we can do.
Great. Thanks, David. So we have a question. If a home has a shingled roof that only has about 8 to 10 years of useful life, Do we normally recommend that the house be re-roofed before you install the system? Or do you install now and re-roof 10 years later? Or do you re-roof, or do we re-roof, or do we contract that out?
On that one, we usually send a site survey personnel that will go assess that the roof, make sure it's in good shape and it's going to be suitable for solar. From there, he will recommend it's either roof it before we put the solar panels, or give you the option that, you know, it's still good. It's like I mentioned in my question, was that it's going to help protect it. So basically, it's going to last a little longer than the rest of the roof. So we don't do roofing. So we would recommend, if it needs roof, we would recommend that the roof be taken care of before we even install the solar panels.
A good rule of thumb on re-roofing too, prior to solar, if you so choose to do it, is if you're at year 15 on the life of your roof, you may want to have the roof inspected and consider a roof replacement prior to solar, so you don't have the added expense of the uninstallation and reinstallation to accommodate the re-roofing detail. But it also depends on what your shingles are rated at as well. Some people have a 30-year shingle. Some people have, you know, a longer shingle rating for their roof.
Great. Thanks, Jamie. So we don't have any additional questions. If you would like to ask a question, you can feel free to still submit it. But again, a reminder that we have more content like this on our YouTube page, also on our Facebook videos, so you can check out past recordings of webinars there. And after this webinar, you also will be getting a survey, and we're looking to know what other questions you have and what other subjects it might be useful for our consultants to tackle with you. We're trying to use this time that we have during our time at home to hunker down and kind of spend some good quality time with the folks out there now that we're all at home and we're able to connect a little bit more digitally in this way. So we're eager to talk with you and cover the subjects that you're most interested in. And we haven't gotten any more questions, so we'll go ahead and end it here. You can follow up via email if you do have any additional questions for any of the panelists. But I would like to thank all of our consultants so much for taking the time. This has been really valuable.
Thanks, Caitlin.
Yeah,
Thanks so much.
Goodbye.
Bye.